The next morning I woke up before sunrise. The house was completely silent. For the first time in months I did not feel afraid of the silence. I felt ready. My attorney had already started protecting my property. The bank had been notified. My accounts were being monitored. And every important document was safely stored. But David, Ryan and Linda still believed they had control. They did not know how much I had discovered. They did not know about the recordings. They did not know about the credit inquiry. And they certainly did not know that my attorney was already involved. For the next few days I stayed calm. I went through my normal routine. I cooked breakfast. I watered the plants. I read the newspaper. And I acted as if nothing had changed. David became suspicious. One morning he asked me, "Are you feeling all right?" I smiled. "I feel better than I have in weeks." He looked at me for a few seconds. Then he walked away. He was expecting anger. Instead he saw calm. That made him nervous. Ryan became even more impatient. He started asking questions about my bank accounts. He wanted to know if I had spoken to anyone. I gave him the same answer every time. Everything is fine. But everything was not fine. Not for them. One afternoon I received a message from my attorney. She had discovered another attempt connected to my property. Someone had tried to move forward with the home equity application. My attorney told me that the paperwork contained information that connected David and Ryan to the process. That was enough. We prepared everything. The documents, the recordings, the messages, the financial records, and the evidence showing that I had never agreed to any of it. But I still waited. I wanted them to make one final mistake. And they did. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. David called it a family meeting. I knew exactly what that meant. When I entered the dining room, Ryan was already there. Linda was sitting beside him. A folder was placed on the table. David looked serious. "We need to talk about your future." I sat down. "My future?" "Yes," Ryan said. "We are worried about you." I looked at him. "Why? You have been forgetting things." He paused. "You need help." Linda smiled. "Nobody is trying to hurt you. We only want what is best." I almost laughed, but I kept my face calm. David pushed the folder toward me. "There are some papers here. You just need to sign them." I opened the folder. The documents were almost identical to the ones I had already seen. But this time there was something different. There was a property authorization form. I looked at David. "Why is this here?" He avoided my eyes. "It is only temporary." Ryan leaned forward. "Mom, you need to trust us." I looked at my son. "I trusted you for 30 years. His expression changed. Then I asked, "What happens after I sign?" Ryan answered, "We take care of everything." Linda interrupted, "The house will be sold." I looked at her. "And where will I live?" She answered, "We already found a place." That sentence told me everything. They had already made the decision. Without me. They had already planned my future. Without asking me. Then Ryan said something that made the room completely silent. "You deserve this." I looked at him. "Why?" "Because you never supported me. You always said no. You stopped me from making my own decisions. You controlled everything." I took a slow breath. Then I said, "I was trying to protect you." He shook his head. "You were trying to control me." I looked at him for several seconds. Then I reached into my bag. I placed my phone on the table. The recording was still running. Ryan looked at it. "What is that?" I smiled. I wanted to make sure I understood everything correctly. The room became silent. David looked at Ryan. Ryan looked at Linda. Linda looked at the phone. Nobody spoke. Then I said, "You wanted me to sign away control of my property. You wanted me to move somewhere else. And you wanted people to believe that I was incapable of making my own decisions." David stood up. "Eleanor, you are misunderstanding this." I shook my head. "No, I understand it perfectly." I pressed the screen. The recording started playing. Linda's voice filled the room. "Once she signs, the house gets sold." Then Ryan's voice followed. "She deserves it." David's voice came next. "Just make sure she looks unstable." Nobody moved. I stopped the recording. Ryan's face had turned pale. "You recorded us." I looked at him. "Yes." He stood up. "You cannot do this." I remained seated. "I already did." Linda started shouting. "This proves nothing." I looked at her. "Then why are you afraid of it?" She stopped talking. David sat down slowly. His confidence was gone. I opened another file. Then I placed copies of the financial records on the table. "This is the home equity application. This is the credit inquiry. This is the authorization document you prepared. And this," I placed another paper in front of them, "is the medical appointment you arranged without telling me." Ryan stared at the papers. "Who gave you these?" I answered. "I found them myself." Then I made a phone call. My attorney entered the room. She had been waiting outside. David looked shocked. "You brought a lawyer here?" I nodded. "Yes." My attorney placed another folder on the table. She spoke calmly. "My client has full legal ownership of this property. No one has permission to sell it. No one has permission to borrow against it. And no one has permission to control her finances." Ryan looked at his father. "Dad." David said nothing. Then my attorney continued. "We have also documented the attempts to obtain financial control without her consent." Linda stood up. "This is ridiculous." My attorney looked at her. "You should sit down." Linda sat. For the first time I saw fear in her eyes. The meeting ended shortly after that. But I knew they would not stop. And I was right. The next afternoon David tried to enter the house. His key did not work. He knocked. Then he started pounding on the door. "Eleanor, open the door." I stood inside. I did not answer. He called Ryan. Within an hour Ryan arrived. 2 police officers were with him. Ryan pointed toward the house. "My mother is unstable. She locked us out. I am worried about her safety." I walked to the door. Then I opened it. The officers looked at me. One of them asked, "Are you Eleanor Hayes?" "Yes." "Are you safe?" "Yes." "Are you being threatened?" "No." I handed them my identification. Then I handed them a copy of the property deed. I also gave them the recordings. Ryan immediately protested. "She is confused." The officer looked at him. "Let us listen first." The recording played. Linda's voice. "The house gets sold." Ryan's voice. "She deserves it." David's voice. "Make her look unstable." The officer looked at David. Then he looked at Ryan. "Sir, is this your voice?" Ryan said nothing. The officer asked again. "Is that your voice?" Ryan finally whispered, "Yes." The officer turned toward me. "Ma'am, this is your property." "Yes." "Then you have the right to decide who enters it." Ryan stepped forward. "But she is not thinking clearly." I looked at the officer. "I am thinking clearly." The officer nodded. "That appears to be the case." Then he told David that he would need to leave the property. David stared at me. "Eleanor, you cannot do this to me." I looked at him. "You did this to yourself." He stood there silently. Then he walked away. Ryan followed him. For several minutes I watched them standing outside. 2 people who had once been the center of my life. Now they were strangers. That evening I changed the locks. Not because I wanted revenge. Because I wanted peace. The following week my attorney helped me separate my finances. I opened new accounts. I changed passwords. I updated my legal documents. And I removed people from my life who had spent years treating my kindness as weakness. Then came the final meeting. This time it was not at my house. It was in a legal office. David was there. Ryan was there. Linda was there. My attorney sat beside me. Across the table they looked different. The confidence was gone. My attorney presented the evidence. The recordings. The financial applications. The property documents. The messages. The medical appointment. Everything. One by one. Their story collapsed. Linda tried to explain. She said she had only been trying to help. But the recordings told another story. Ryan said he had been angry. He said he never expected things to go this far. I looked at him. "You are not sorry for what you did. You are sorry that I found out." He looked down. He did not answer. David finally spoke. "Eleanor, can we start over?" I looked at the man I had spent decades beside. Then I realized something. I had already started over. It had happened the moment I stopped trying to convince them of my worth. The meeting ended. David would no longer have access to my property. Ryan would have no authority over my finances. Linda was ordered to stay away from me. And the documents they had prepared were stopped before they could destroy my independence. I walked outside. The sun was shining. The air felt different. For the first time in years, I felt completely free. I did not feel like a victim. I felt like myself again. A few weeks later I moved into a small apartment near the mountains. It was not as large as my old house. But it was peaceful. And peace was worth more than a mansion. Every morning I opened the curtains. I made coffee. And I watched the sunlight move across the mountains. There was no shouting. No arguments. No one telling me that I was too old. No one watching my reactions. No one waiting for me to make a mistake. I joined a local community group for older women. Some had experienced financial abuse. Some had been betrayed by their children. Some had spent decades believing that keeping their families together was more important than protecting themselves. I shared my story with them. Not because I wanted sympathy. But because I wanted them to understand one thing. Age does not make you powerless. Kindness does not mean weakness. And love does not require you to surrender your dignity. Ryan contacted me once. His message was short. Mom, I am sorry. I read it. Then I put my phone down. I did not hate him. But I did not open the door either. Some relationships can be repaired. Others cannot. And that is okay. David eventually stopped contacting me. Linda disappeared from the neighborhood. And my life became quiet. A good kind of quiet. The kind of quiet that lets you hear your own thoughts again. Sometimes I still think about that afternoon. The bathroom door. The betrayal. The laughter. The moment my own son told me that I deserved it. But I no longer remember those things with shame. I remember them as the moment I finally woke up. They thought they were pushing me toward the end of my life. Instead, they pushed me toward the beginning of a new one. I learned that sometimes losing people is not the greatest tragedy. Sometimes the greatest tragedy is losing yourself while trying to keep them. I spent years protecting everyone around me. Now I protect myself. And there is nothing selfish about that. If you are listening to my story and you are going through something similar, please remember this. You are not too old to start again. You are not too old to say no. You are not too old to protect your money. You are not too old to protect your home. And you are never too old to choose yourself. That day they thought they were closing the door on my life. They were wrong. When I closed that door, I was opening another one. A door to freedom. A door to peace. A door to a future that belonged only to me. And this time, nobody was going to take the key away.